Hello everyone, and welcome to my contract guide for Project Silverfish version 0.1.6. This will cover every contract that is available currently while doing a neutral run, so neutral or freelancer, revolutionary. It'll include contracts from Simi, Dr. Mosby, The Broker, and Mama Roach. I'm not going to be covering the NFTA, Cultists, or Insurrection factions here. They're going to be saved for a future video for when more of their exclusive missions are actually released. This video is going to be spoiler heavy, so if you wish to play Project Silverfish blind, which I would strongly recommend for the fullest experience, you're free to click off this video. This guide is intended to serve as a reference for anyone who's having trouble with any particular mission, and I'll be leaving timestamps below for you to skip to any contract that you're currently having trouble with. With that all said, let's get into the first contract, starting with the Crossroads Signal Jammer. This one's pretty easy to do. Just go to Crossroads and look for this junkyard area. It's either going to be on top of the little antenna here, on top of the little silo, on top of this little garage, or on top of this water tower. They can spawn on the corner of the roof of the garage up there. But for us on this run, it spawned on top of this little tank right here. Easiest thing to do is just shoot it. And with that, you can turn it in. Next is Broken Wrench. This one's pretty simple as well. There is actually a location in Crossroads inside the warehouse here that will give you a guaranteed wrench, just in case you're having trouble finding one. The route that I usually take is going up the ladder here. This allows you to kind of just walk straight in through an opening. Just be careful not to get shot. The lockers here usually have good items that can help you out with quests later on, like maybe lockpicks or computer parts if you're lucky. But we're just here for the wrench, mostly. Plenty of ammo and some medkits, too. Really nice area to hit early on. An alternative way to get up there, in case you're afraid of heights, go down into the little boat down here. And there's a key that will allow you to open up the office without having to climb all the way up the ladder. Next, we're going to look at Retake the Safe-House. The Safe-House is located in Black Lake. From Crossroads, just go a little bit up north until you see this floating island here. Be careful of the trip mines that are scattered all around the front of the island where this chain is located. There's plenty like on the path and in the bushes, so you can just grab them. You don't have to worry about shooting them or anything, just don't walk into them. What I like to do here is fire off a couple of rent-lowering rounds into the air. If you do it correctly, it will kind of lasso all of the enemies up here into one spot. You may have to shoot the side of the island to actually get them to notice it. I didn't do it correctly here, but we can just take them out like normal. They love to go off into one little corner of the island, way behind the house, I guess as a way of like taking cover. Just be careful here. Don't get grenades thrown at you. And don't be stupid. You should be fine. This is a good spot to have a little stash and a bed in case you need to sleep through the nights. And a little crafting table. Signal Jammer Floodplains. This one is pretty simple to do. Coming from Crossroads, we'll just head straight into the center of the floodplains, kind of where this industrial area is. Typically, it'll spawn right in the top of this little sniper tower. Right on top of the shelves here. And sometimes it spawns outside. On the rooftop, there's a little jammer that can spawn on top of the tankers here. And if we go further down towards RW West and East, where the lab is, there's also a location where it can spawn on top of these little, like, radio tower things. Right in between the cracks up here. And that's it. Now, for hardware problems, there's a couple of locations that you can check to get a guaranteed spawn for a computer part. The easiest way to get one early on, if you check the lockers inside the observatory, there is one you can get right away. If you can't get a crowbar for whatever reason, I would check the burrows just north of Metropole and next to Mama Roach's office, where there are little computer battery looking things. There's a free spawn for a computer part right there. And if you check the E206 lab that's just underneath Depot, there's a computer part that spawns right in there. But typically, this is not a mission that takes too much hassle. Just keep looting until you find a computer part, and you'll be fine. Next up, we have the Black Lake Signal Jammer. I didn't go through and show every location for this one, but a tip that I have for you is it is always going to be on the dock side. So for us, it's in this little watchtower, but it can also spawn on the crane and further down towards the end of the dock. And that's it. Next up, we have Collect Depot Documents. This one gave me a little bit of trouble during my recording because there was a fire fountain anomaly that decided to spawn all over the stairway here. But we've got a few ways around that. What we're looking for is the little contacts roller thing here. You're going to want to return to that later once you figure out what contact you're looking for. And we're going to just skip forward a little bit until we get to the actual terminal that we're looking for. Be sure to check plenty of lockers in this area because there will be data tapes most of the time, and you're going to need those for later. And what we need to do here on the terminal is look up the directory. And you're going to want to look at the staff notice. If you need to get into the company records office, you'll need to get Mr. Sheffield's assistance. After the recent layoffs, he is currently the only employee who has a key. So let's go back to that little Rolodex thing and find his contact information. That'll show us where we need to go. You can grab the contacts list on this side and look for Mr. Sheffield's address, 405 Maywell Square. Luckily, it's in the same location. You don't have to leave Depot. Just go further north a little bit into the neighborhood nearby. And this is the block you're looking for, Maywell Square. And apartment number 405. Once you're inside the home, you're just going to be looking around for a little contact card. It's in his jacket here. You want to grab it. From there, just head on back to the office. And you're going to want to go up the stairs and find the records room. Once you're in, grab the documents there. And check the lockers here for some additional loot. And that's it. Now, before you turn in this quest, make sure that you read what the documents say. This will give you some really useful information. It keeps track of what all of the train cars on Depot actually have hold of, and it gives you the location of a key to open the carts so you don't have to use your lockpicks and everything. This is really useful because it has military gear that you can get very early on, and it has a crowbar that you can find consistently. So a very good location to go early on in a game to get your run started. Next up, we've got Lenny's house. This is a pretty easy elimination contract. You just have to be careful of all of his traps. You may end up getting yourself killed in a really silly way, and if you're on permadeath, it'd be an awful way to end your run. First thing you want to do is step to the side of the door. There's a little sawn-off that fires a buckshot. All you need to do is use your melee weapon to activate the bear traps without stepping on them. Just go through each of these little bear traps, knock them out one by one. Don't touch anything else in this room. Just hit the bear traps and walk through it. Trust me.
On the floor now.
I throw a flare here so I can see where he actually is. You're going to want to be very careful. He has a LMG that uses 30-06 rounds, and they do a lot of damage. So only show yourself just enough to shoot him, and take his gun and his ammo, and you're good. Next up is a pretty big one. This is buried treasure. To start off, go from the transition of Depot into the slums, and take a look to the left for this big blue building. For this one, you're going to want some way to open doors, either a blowtorch, a few lockpicks, or a crowbar, preferably. Just go down from the top floor to the next level, and on your right, there should be this silver gray door. This is the first room you're going to want to go to, and it holds the courier's journal. Go ahead and take a look at that. The information that you need from here is that the courier was named Whitney, and they were visited by the therapist. We're going to have to go find the therapist's room and find out what happened to Whitney. The therapist's room is all the way on the bottom floor of the building, and it's going to be locked. But what you want is their terminal, and you want to look at Whitney's session to find out what happened to them. Now, Whitney did a pretty good job with holding the information that they had, but they do give you some clues as to where to look. They say that they scream about some horse on a beach, and what you're going to have to look for is the only beach on the map currently, Skeleton Coast. You're going to want to go down from the slums through Depot into the flooded plains, and keep heading south until you kind of get to where the flooded plains leads into the Crossroads. From there, the flooded village has a graveyard. First thing that we need to grab is a shovel, and a little extra tip here, you can do some graveyard digging and find a nice little ring. It's worth a lot of money. And you can find some jewelry. It's worth a little bit of money. Then from the graveyard, just run all the way west until you hit the Skeleton Coast.
What was that?
What you're looking for is a structure that looks like the spitting image of a horse. See it? And dig just right under its legs. And there's the drop. Do you mind? The duffel bag here, it's actually pretty useful. Gives you a arc board stone and a lift balloon. And that's buried treasure. Next up we have M35 Transmission. This one's pretty simple. Just go from Crossroads into M35 until you reach this little intersection here. Take a right, and the radio station that you're looking for is just up the road. Now, you will need a data tape from somewhere. There's a guaranteed spawn for one inside Dr. Mosby's lab. If you look inside the projector room, you can grab that one there. Or there are multiple spawns of them that can happen inside the... Or you can buy one, most likely from the black market. The freelancer traders there usually have a data tape. Sometimes you can get lucky and one will just spawn here, but it didn't happen for us on this run. The usual route that I like to take is just doing a quick little running crouch jump to get on top of the roof. If that doesn't work for you or you're having trouble with it, I'm sure you can just pull some boxes up to the roof and maybe jump over it that way. But it's a pretty simple jump. Download the data tape here, and that's all you need. The next mission that we have is a little bit tricky. This is Scorched Earth. The mission for this one is retrieving a Scorcher weapon for the broker. It's mainly going to be found inside the Maw, which is just off of M35. Just head past where the secret shop is, and the first little exit on the left is where you're going to find the Maw. I was lucky on this run because a storm caused a lot of the enemies to run inside and shelter. Typically, you're going to run into a lot of either loner stalkers, revenants, insurrection, all kinds of things. So just be careful when you're doing this run. I got a little bit lost here, so we're going to skip forward a little bit. This is actually maybe like the third or so time that I've ever done this mission. Pretty much all you need to do, though, is keep heading down the stairs until you find where these humanoid cultist enemies are spawning. When you kill them, you're going to find the Scorcher weapon drop off of them pretty much guaranteed. Just take their gun and head on back. That's all you need. Next here, we're going to run the Crossroads dead drop, as well as missing contact back to back. They're right next to each other, so we may as well get them both done at the same time. Gonna just skip forward here. We're taking Crossroads from the observatory. Just keep heading north until you find this little tool station off the railroad. And you're going to want to take the fire axe, because we need that to break into a couple of doors. There's also going to be a shovel here, and we need that to dig up something in a second. Feel free to look around in here. There's usually good starting loot, like food and some essentials, but I got nothing really this time. And there's a few items that you can loot off of the attic up here that we have to look into. The contact information that you're looking for here is actually this farmer's note. You can see this guy's become really paranoid and ends up burying the package that he was given. And the clue that you're given here is, out his right eye, the scarecrow spots what lays beneath twin stones, spades for aces. So you need a shovel for the package. And luckily, it's just right outside here. Little scarecrow fella. And he's showing you right where to dig. If you open the package here, you get actually a couple of nice things. Stardust, which is a very important item if you want to get more artifacts, as well as a glow sprout, which gives you a lot of food and healing. So a pretty nice item, but that's only if you want to avoid the contract. Next, we're going to just cross over towards the water lock and take a look for the dead drop. There's a few locations that it can spawn, and I'll show you here. I've seen it sometimes just under this little tank over here. and sometimes on this little walkway. But usually it's just on the boat. And just past this door. If you're wondering what's inside that dead drop, we can open this up. And it gives us 2 rifles. The Type 18 Combat AR, which is a pretty good weapon for early game. Next, we're going to do the Flooded Village dead drop, as well as the Metropole dead drop back-to-back. I start off this route from Black Lake and take the little transition from Black Lake into Metropole. And what we're looking for here is the police station, this big building right in the middle. There's a few places the dead drop can spawn. Just make sure that you check underneath all of the desks here, on the 2nd floor and the 1st floor. And there it is. Just grab that and you're good. Next, we're going to run from Metropole down to Depot. And then from Depot, we're going to head down to the Flooded Village, where the next drop is going to be. The drop on this contract, I have found it has been pretty consistent. And it should just be in one location inside the Drowned Cafe. So just this little building on the far corner. Go up the stairs and move this box. And there you have it. And then these duffel bags. The one from the village has a ether container and a glowing lab sample. And then the police station drop has some honey eggs. Fantastic. Next up, we're going to run Fan the Flames, as well as Stolen Goods on the same run. I like doing this because they're in the same area and pretty easy to knock out back to back. We're just going to take the Crossroads and go east until you reach Goldwood Forest. Just run past these orange Reddit signs and you'll find it. Now, it's pretty easy to get overwhelmed in this area. If you see one guy with an SMG and start getting sprayed down, just run back, take some cover, heal a little bit. The most deadly enemies here are going to be the ones that carry the SMG, so I really recommend that you have plenty of healing and armor if you're not used to doing this mission. The best way to run Fan the Flames is take out just a couple of the tanks here inside the sawmill. I get a little greedy and start taking out multiple. You don't have to stay here that long.
Wherever you are.
And then just head straight east a little more. And there's actually a smaller area that's kind of tucked away. This usually has 2 Insurrection. There's 1 guard inside the little barn window. And the other one was taken out by some Fae, I guess. He's not very strong. There are like 4 tanks here. So if you don't find enough from the sawmill, there's plenty here to take out. And that's 6 fuel tanks. Now from here, we're going to just do a quick run back into the sawmill, and I will show you a few ways inside. This area has become one of my favorites because it does a good job of demonstrating how you can traverse the environment if you look around for clues for alternate routes. My favorite is this little window. You can just jump out into the windowsill. And right into the lockers that you need for the duffel bag. in case you don't have a crowbar for all of those, the quartermaster for this place, or I guess the officer in charge of the sawmill, is in this room all the way at the top. Take him out, he's pretty easy, and you can just jump through the window. And there's a key right here. And he's got plenty of notes you can read for lore. But I'll leave that for you. And that's about all there is to it. The duffel bag from this mission gives you a nice artifact, the Friend Maker Wand. You can find out what that does on your own. Next up, we're going to do Modial Interaction, as well as Bad Egg together. Starting off with this mission, I would highly recommend some kind of helmet that has a light on it or night vision. Something as simple as like a tack light is good. You can usually find a trade for them very early on, or if you are very desperate, bring a flashlight. We're going to just skip ahead a little bit here and just show you the terminals that you really need to go for. On this terminal here, the important doors to open are going to be CO1, CO4, LO1, UO3, UO2, EO4, and EO3. You can open up CO2 and CO3 if you want. Now, be careful going into UO3. Sometimes Bad Egg likes to wander out of his hallway, especially if there's Fae or other things coming to fight him. And be careful of Remnant and Loner Stalkers down here as well. Bad Egg is pretty easy to take out. He's usually just in this LO1 door. And he's got pretty good stuff. A nice SMG that will take armor pen 9mm, as well as a attic key, which leads to a very nice place in Metro, and a key card in case you need to come back here for later. On this terminal, you can activate SO6, and I would look up the lockdown notice to get this code here, 8344. That's how you find a code to one of the doors down here. Now, this is going to be where you need to take the battery, and sometimes an artifact spawns up here, so feel free to look around. We're going to take a quick look at the blue chest here. Sometimes some nice weapons can spawn there, but usually you want to open up this locker and find some samples, things like that. This is the door that you need the code for. And there's plenty of closed cells. This one's just got a few crates in it. But CO4 has a random artifact inside of it. It's a nice little find. Now let's take a left and go back down this way. Make sure you've got some bolts so you can take care of the lightning anomalies here. If you've got a crowbar or some lockpicks, you can open up the armor chest here as well as the locker. You're going to want to take the folder here. PD002 keycard is not essential, but it's kind of helpful for later on. We're just going to run back and grab the battery. That sound means that Mr. Hands spawned, and we've got to deal with that. It's very resistant to buckshot. So I'd kind of recommend using anything but this shotgun. And we'll just grab the battery and do a nice little run back all the way to the end and put it in the slot. Toss it over the edge for fun. Put it right back where it belongs, and you're good. Next up is Counter Sniper. This one's pretty simple. You just have to take out an Insurrection sniper. He does have night vision, so it's not very easy to sneak up on him during the night, especially if you're coming at him from a distance where he can spot you. Try to weave behind the buildings a little bit so you can get up to him without being spotted. When you're actually inside the building that he's residing in, he seems to be pretty clueless. Of course, as soon as you shoot him, he's going to spot you. Take him out, and you get a nice little sniper with armor pen ammo. Next up, we have the E206 lab tape, as well as the root sample that you need. We can do both of these back to back. I would definitely recommend finding the code that you need for the root sample while you're here, unless you feel like backtracking a good distance. The lab itself is actually going to be directly inside the depot office that you needed to go to earlier for the documents. On the first floor, just go all the way into the north until you find a little basement door that says E206, and you're good. Now, typically here, there are a number of different enemies that can spawn. I think depending on how far into the run you are, maybe in later days, more dangerous things spawn, like loner stalkers, revenants, homunculus creatures, and sometimes humanoid military. But we get a lucky spawn, just some simple lab humanoids. They're fine to deal with. Here, there's a nice little fire sprite anomaly guarding all of the lockers. There's typically some useful things here, like an oxygen tank and some glowing samples, medkits, ammo, things like that. So it's kind of worth checking everything here. Just be careful you don't get burned too much. Further up, there is a static spawn for a computer part in case you need one for hardware problems. And typically, a few humanoid spawns, so be careful. Right up here, there's a armor locker, so it's good to have a crowbar or some lockpicks.
You'll find yourself having a mighty busy time keeping up with him.
And what you want to do here is activate the doors and then set gas 05 to false.
You change blades and rinse clean, so.
Hey, this is fun to do.
One has
Back up, Gaylord.
I'm just going to try that one more time. And this is the terminal that you need to activate to download the data tape. And there's a key right here. Now, in case you didn't bring a data tape, don't worry. There's one actually just at the very beginning of this dungeon. I'll show it just at the end of this section here. So here I'm going to demonstrate what you're supposed to be getting off of the data tape. This is what happens if you bring the data tape all the way back to Dr. Mosby and play the data tape on the projector. In case you did turn it into him and you forgot to hold on to it, you can make a copy of it at the terminal here, but we're going to play the data tape. This shows a discovery of the red root sample that he's looking for. I won't spoil where that is, but it's in a very nice dungeon. And the code that you need is 8613. So we're going to type in the code here. Grab that sample. That way we don't have to backtrack all the way back over here. See if we get a good gun. Nope, we were scammed. I do like using a little bit of physics to get over the locked door right here. Just grab a crate, shove it right here, jump on it. And now you have a free ether canister. And a few data samples if you're lucky. Just fast forward, and I'll show you where the data tape spawns. Break the window right here, and there you go. Free tape. And that's the E206 lab. Now, next is going to be kill Spratt. The timeline for doing this one is a little bit wonky because you kind of want another quest while you're doing this one, but I'll show you where you need to look for Spratt initially. Go from the depot towards the slums, and then on your right is going to be the saloon. It's nighttime, so I've got to throw a flare down there to be able to light it up a little bit, so I can at least see somewhat. And just off the stairway here is going to be his room. Now, if you have a crowbar or a lockpick or a blowtorch, you can get into here pretty easily. If you don't, just hug the wall to the right, all the way around his room, and on the back you can break the window and shoot off the plank, and then open the door that way. What you're looking for is Spratt's note here. This shows you where he went. So there's a little warehouse at the beginning of the game at Crossroads, and it says entrance by the water. And here shows the actual entrance into the dungeon that you're going to be looking for later. And it says AG04. That's a hint for us for later. But Spratt's not here. He's moved on. Now, what I would recommend doing before you continue doing Spratt's mission is if you have the test drill memo from doing RG East, open that up and read it. That will give you the prompt to ask Dr. Mosby about what equipment he needs. That will give you the quest for the prototype drill. If you make your way over to the broker and you ask him about what things that he's looking for, he'll tell you about looking for artifacts and giving you money for them, but that also gives you the prompt for telling him about the drill. Now you can accept the quest from him to turn in the drill to the broker, but that would ruin your reputation with the Revolution if you're planning on doing a playthrough with them. So at this point in the game, you have to make a decision. We're going to make our way all the way to Crossroads, and just on the northwest side of the warehouse, right where the river is, there's this little grate you can walk into, and that will lead you to the cistern dungeon. I'm not going to fully explore the dungeon in this playthrough. There's plenty of things here that you can find. I highly recommend exploring all of it, but I just want to show you how to do the mission exactly. follow the winding tunnels all the way down to this terminal here and just activate AG04. That, of course, is the office that Spratt wrote down, and it's going to be where he's holed up. All we've got to do is run over to him real quick. And he's kind of tucked away in the corner over here. Luckily, just standing right in the window for us, so a headshot kills him pretty fast. He drops a few things here. A really cool short barrel shotgun that aims down sight really fast. I like using that one a lot. What we're looking for, though, is going to be a refinery key card. That'll be useful for us for later. As well as the infrastructure records. You really need that. Now, there's a book here you can find. The Drill Memo book, or something like that. I don't believe it has a purpose yet, but you can read it. And it kind of gives you a clue as to what a future mission will be. But that's not in the game just yet. If you go down the hallway past where the terminal was and just keep going right until you get to the end of this little rail area, you'll find the doorway. What we really need is the code from the infrastructure records at the very end. $71038. And now we are in the PD002 lab. This one gets a little bit annoying because there's EMP absolutely everywhere. It's going to just keep turning off your lights. Just deal with it. Turn them back on. I would highly recommend that you bring a flashlight here, not night vision. And you'll see why in a second. All of these shadows that are crawling on the wall, they will give you psychic damage if you run into them. They are not visible using night vision. They are only visible if you shine a flashlight on them. And taking too much mental damage down here can really hurt you. If you still have the PD002 lab card, you can open that door really easily. Or you can just crouch walk underneath the gate. Next thing we need to do is break down this little pallet blocking the doorway here. You're probably going to hear a lot of spooky sounds down here. I think this mission just gives you a lot of mental fatigue by default. And we're going to let that Wraith stay inside that door. You can let him out and try to kill him if you want to, but I would not recommend it. Here, we need to open every door except SR06, because I'm not dealing with that right now. And it's kind of straightforward from there. Just clear all the debris out of the way and head straight to the back. Watch out for the multiple fire anomalies walking around. And hit the button to flush the generators. That'll cause all of the EMPs and electricity to shut off. So you've got a straight shot back. And this is going to be where you find the drill bit. Grab that, and you're good to go. Don't stand inside the drill room for too long. It has active radiation poisoning. There's usually a lot of anomalies here too, but luckily these aren't too bad to deal with. You can just run by them and then find the door to leave the room. And from here, there's not too much to worry about. You can kind of just sprint back. Now, depending on what the game decides to spawn here, you could get a lot of husks that are kind of like head crab creatures that run around. They're very much not threatening at all. And it could spawn a lot of Revenant scav. Or it could spawn both. They're not very well equipped. Their weapons do hardly any damage, so they're not that scary to deal with, but you still want to be careful just in case. If you get unlucky and Revenant stalkers or loner stalkers spawn just outside of this room, you do need to be careful of them. I've found that they spawn with custom weapons or sometimes like weapons that come from red chests that are very strong. So on your way out of here, just be careful. We get lucky here, I think, because it's still pretty early on in the run. And there's really only Fae that spawn, so we're pretty much fine to just get out of here. Like I said earlier, there's plenty to look for down here. So definitely stick around to explore the entire dungeon. But just for the purposes of this video, we're going to leave, and that's all you need for the drill. Next up, we have flood control. This one, we are going to start kind of at the west end of Metropole. Until you find the first national bank here, just head in through the door into the little exploded wall section here, and just travel all the way down the basement until you find STNW13. That's going to be our destination. Now, the subway down here can be a little confusing at first, but once you know the layout, it's kind of a straight shot. Just hook a right here and travel the train car all the way down until you reach the end, and head outside. Into the next train car, and follow that one all the way down to the end as well. There's a lot of poison and acid down here. As of the current patch that I'm playing on, if you just jump through all of the acid and the gas, you're fine. But I believe in the most recent update, there are some changes to how damage is calculated, so it's going to hurt a lot more. You may actually need to bring some gear that is resistant to acid and gas before coming down here. Just a heads up. Now, sometimes loners can spawn down here, and sometimes it's just Fae. What we're mainly looking for is the little valve there to turn. Take some unnecessary damage. There's two exits. We're going to do the upstairs exit that actually gives us a blue crate, as well as an armor locker, just for fun. Just head back down the hole here. And hook a right. Put a few rounds into Mr. Hands, no big deal. And then from here, just go left until you can find the entrance to the train car, and then go right to get back down to the entrance of the subway. And then stay left to get out of here. That's all you need. Copper Stop is pretty easy. It gives you a nice location to go to in the description. Just go to Metro and find this little factory that's sitting right in the middle of the lake. Hop off the right side here into the entrance, and there's some copper wire. Now we've got Refinery Raid. This one, we are going to take the slums entrance into Refinery. So, depot into slums into Refinery. I would highly recommend doing this one during nighttime, and definitely take a sniper if you can. It makes things a lot easier if you can just pick people off in the dark from a very long distance so they can't see you at all. That's kind of just the easy way to do this. If you want to do it the hard way or just have a little more fun with it, you can do it during the daytime and just take some CQB weapons. But this is just going to be the straightforward, simple way to do it. So make sure you have a sniper loaded with armor pen rounds and take out as many targets as you can from the entrance. Since I'm doing it in nighttime here, they throw a signal flare as soon as the siren goes off, but it doesn't do a very good job of illuminating the entrance that I came in from, so I have plenty of cover from the shadow. They can't really see me at all. A good majority of the military that spawn in the refinery will just run straight towards the gate as soon as you start opening fire and the siren goes off. You will have to be careful of the snipers that are in the watchtowers. You need to make sure that you take out all of them because they're not going to come down from their positions. If for whatever reason you want to shut off the siren that's going off, there is a alarm box inside the overpass bridge area. And then there is an alarm box inside the refinery section itself. And then there is also an alarm box on the right side where the helipad is located. Right there where an Osprey is dropping people off. Here I'm trying to just see if I can shoot the pilot out of it, but I can't quite get a good angle on it. We have to stay here for a little bit longer just to try to take out the last of the scragglers that are running up and deal with some of the squad that just dropped in. And from here we should have a good enough angle to take out some of the snipers as well. Once we have to start moving in on the bridge itself, it gets a little bit riskier because there's still quite a few of the military left. I think there's like twice as many military that spawn here than there are on Dead Bridge. It's pretty massive. And we can throw a flare here to get a little better visibility. Just be careful that you don't get caught out by a sniper or somebody with a LMG, something deadly. Most of the military here is pretty easy to deal with because they just use 9mm SMGs. But like this guy, for instance, that has the 30-08 LMG, he's a lot deadlier to deal with. Throw a flare just to make sure that I can see if there's anyone else here that might still be alive, and I believe at this point we've cleared out most of them. There's at least a couple of them still alive because somebody keeps hitting the siren and raising the alarm back up again over and over. There's the hidden alarm box. Clearing out where the Osprey dropped. And one more sniper spot that's a little bit hidden. Up this way is a terminal you can access, as well as an armor locker. Here, you can turn off the doors as well as the gates blocking the entrance into the reactor. You want to make sure that you actually deactivate the gates. And it took me a second to remember that. Because otherwise, if you don't, I believe you lock yourself in. And you don't want to have that happen when the reactor starts blowing up. Next is the reactor itself. There's a couple of electronic parts you can loot here. They're very heavy, and I don't really need the money. We're just gonna blow up the reactor and get out. Now this part, there are multiple Ospreys that spawn and will start dropping squads, as well as anomalies that explode when you run through them. So be very careful to dodge them while you sprint off the bridge. Try to weave through them and don't let any of them go off. I should mention here that if any of the zombies or like humanoids walk into those, they will set them off and you can get yourself killed. So watch out for that too. I decided for a minute to try to fight them, but then I realized There's an easier way off of here. Because you can just dive off the side of the bridge into the water. And there's a convenient ladder here for us to make our way out towards the skeleton coast and leave into the beach. And that's a nice and easy refinery run. The next one that we have is Stone Maze readings. There are multiple ways to get into Stone Maze. I'm going to just show you the route that is the easiest, which would be if you are, I believe, 1000 reputation with revolutionaries. From the burrow, just go past the bodyguard, and there is this little underground railroad section here. Past the train, there's actually a blue crate that you can loot for a nice weapon. But what we're worried about is actually riding the little train here into a hidden passage. Later. And take the passage into Greywater Marsh.
Keep walking.
We want to go north a little bit. Take the railroad so that we can skip all of the acid water, and then from there just head east until we hit the stone maze. And that takes us right to the location that we're looking for the quest, which is this little lab tent area that was set up. There's plenty of stalkers that roam around here, so be prepared to fight anyone that you see. And the actual tent that we're looking for this objective is connected to the antenna right here. It's this giant tunnel that leads like 3 tents connected together. Just go all the way to the end and download your data tape. And there's some loot here as well. Some samples that you can get for money. That's about it. Of course, I saved the best one for last. We can take that molasses that we found earlier while running M35 and just take it all the way to the strange shopkeeper. You can find the shopkeeper in M35 if you just go basically northwest, hug the railroad until you see an entrance that is heavily decorated. Just go inside, talk to them, exhaust their dialogue a little bit. If you ask them for a quest, they'll have you track down molasses, hand it over, and that's all you got. Wow, you made it through the whole video. Thanks for watching. I actually want to take a second to give a quick thanks to the Project Silverfish community. The people who have been interacting with my streams and YouTube so far have been really cool. I really appreciate it, and I'm especially thankful for you guys getting me to 100 subscribers, and as of today, we are eligible for Twitch affiliate. I know this video is a little bit different from what I usually put out. I just wanted to make something that kind of acts as a resource for people that are having a little bit of trouble getting into the game and need a little bit of help, especially because I know I had some trouble and I probably wouldn't have figured out a lot of these things on my own if it weren't for the Twitch stream. So thank you guys again. If you want to catch any of the streams that I have in the future, just check out my Twitch channel. It's at StaticCamora. And if you like the content on YouTube,
subscribe for more.